Hello, and welcome to the Guilbault Girls Show, where you will have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability. I know, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have a bonus for you as we get the Guilbault boys to interview some of the dads and siblings and get their perspectives too. We'll also have special guests from time to time to share the many resources that are available to those living with a disability and their families. So get ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry when you hear some of these stories of their day-to-day struggles. But let's not forget their many triumphs. As they say, it takes a village. And if it weren't for our village, we wouldn't be where we are today. So join us. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Guilbault Girls Show. I'm your host, Karen Guilbault, and today's guest is Kate Zink, founder of Chronically Holistic. Hey, Kate, how are you?
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Good. Kate is a Nutritional Therapy Practitioner, NTP, an amateur homesteader, a nurse, a wife, and a proud mama of her beautiful baby boy named Forrest, which you may meet during this interview. How old is he now?
He's 2.5.
2.5. All right. So as a NTP, Nutritional Therapy Practitioner. Okay. I'm like, say that 3 times. Kate holds the foundational knowledge of the importance of a properly prepared, nutrient-dense whole food diet. She focuses on healthy digestion, proper blood sugar regulation, fatty acids, cellular hydration, and mineral stores. Through her own personal experience and credentials, she is more than qualified to help others heal through diet with a holistic approach, which we'll talk a little later on how she's been working with Faith, and it's amazing because she's been off Miralax for months now. So first of all, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. I really think it's important because there's so many kiddos out there that have so many issues that the parents just feel lost. And you've been through so much of this yourself already. So I think it's great what you're doing. So we have been friends with Kate's parents for many years. If I remember correctly, I want to say you were probably about like 15 years old when we started hanging out with your parents.
Yeah. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Wild thing.
It's crazy. So I remember being at your graduation party, your send off to college. Yeah. So, but I am so proud of the woman and mother that you've become. So I really, really am. Preparing for our interview, I began to think about the differences between visible and invisible disabilities, which could be another entire podcast all in and of itself. So for this, let's go ahead and use Faith as an example. So I just want to go ahead and go over a few things before we dive in with Kate, because I think it's important. So when you look at Faith, it's clear to see that she has a visible disability because she wears braces on her feet. She uses a walker. She uses wheelchair for long distances. But what most people don't know is that she also has invisible disabilities too. So one, she has cortical vision impairment, which she sees what we see, but her brain perceives it differently. So for anyone to look at her, they wouldn't think that she had a vision impairment. Some people are even surprised to learn that she goes to the Maryland School for the Blind. They're like, well, what? And there's not enough awareness about cortical vision impairment. Faith also has anxiety, but to look at her, you wouldn't know the struggles that she has had. One of the biggest things and most recent diagnoses, which you have played a huge part in helping her out with, is her postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, known as POTS. So for those who don't know, POTS is a form of dysautonomia. It's a disorder of the autonomic
nervous system. Yeah.
Thank you. So this branch of the nervous system regulates functions that we don't even consciously control, such as our heart rate, our blood pressure, sweating, body temperature. And the key characteristics of POTS are the specific symptoms and the exaggerated increase in heart rate when standing. So the symptoms of POTS include, but aren't limited to, lightheadedness, difficulty thinking and concentrating, fatigue, intolerance of exercise, headache, blurry vision, palpitations, tremor, and nausea. And with the help and so many tests, her pediatrician was the one that wouldn't stop and was thinking outside of the box of her cerebral palsy. We finally got the diagnosis. She's awesome. So to have her in Faith's corner and you in her corner, and you two are awesome to work. You know what I mean? It's great. So these invisible disabilities are not always obvious to the onlooker, but can sometimes or always limit daily activities, range from mild challenges to severe limitations and vary from person to person. So when I was going on the internet, I ended up, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but I came up with a nonprofit called the Invisible Disabilities Association, IDA.
So I heard of them, but I feel like I'll support them.
Yeah, you have to look them up. They had really great information. So again, it's the Invisible Disabilities Association, IDA. Part of their mission and vision reads, IDA is about believing. We believe you. The frequently invisible nature of illness and pain may lead to disbelief about that illness or pain by those surrounding the person who lives daily with invisible disabilities. Like a lot of people are like, oh, it's just in your head, and they don't believe you. So that disbelief can lead to misunderstandings, rejection by friends, family, and even healthcare providers. It may also lead to accusations of laziness or faking an illness. But basically, the bottom line is that everyone with a disability is different, with varying challenges and needs, as well as the abilities and attributes. So we should all learn to listen instead of judging what we say. So with all of that being said, let's dive into your personal journey of pain, healing, and how you can come to help others, how you came to help others on this journey.
Okay. All right. Hi, Karen. My name's Kate. Obviously, you know that we've known each other for years. So I'm a nutritional therapist. So what I do is I kind of assess symptoms versus a disease or a lab value, and I treat through nutrition with that. When you take a questionnaire with me, it kind of breaks up where you're having inflammation, breaks it down into different sections of your digestion, liver, gallbladder, small intestine, fatty acids, blood sugar, minerals, and so forth. So I'm able to kind of target the symptoms with some food that correlates to that. So if you're having liver issues or small intestines versus just guessing and giving you a medication to cover it up. And as you know, I do mineral testing. So you actually use your cellular tissue from your hair test that shows me what minerals you're lacking in your tissues. I've done it on my son. I do it on adults, children. So any age group you can do as long as you have hair. And that helps.
I guess Jesse's out.
Jesse's out. You can do armpit hair, but I've seen some weird results, so I don't recommend it. Head hair is better. But it really helps me nail down from that questionnaire in your own cellular tissue to better give you a protocol, better food choices, better mineral choices, supplements if needed. But I usually try to start with food. That way we're not putting supplements on a stomach that's probably not digesting well.
And what brought you to go along this journey? Can you walk us through what you've been through? I mean, between the symptoms, chronic pain, anxiety, specialist diagnoses, tests, surgeries, to the medicines and supplements. So I know that your story will touch many and give those, some hope.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we met when we were younger, but like you said, I don't think people knew how much I was suffering. When I was young, probably 11 or 12, I started really having pain, start passing out with my periods, and then I started having like numbness and tingling in my legs. And when you're young, the doctors say they don't know what's wrong with you, and you don't know if it's in your head, and that becomes a whole thing because I didn't have an obvious disability. My first diagnosis was RSD, which is now referred to chronic regional pain syndrome, where I was having an extreme dysregulated nervous system that I now understand today. But at that time, I did not understand what that meant, where I was having all kinds of nerve pain, all kinds of symptoms, where I kind of was slightly disabled and still doing school, still in sports, and not getting the help I needed. I kind of pretended I was normal, and then went to school, went to college, and then really got sick. I had migraines. I was on all the medications for migraines. I was in this brain fog from the medications. I was injecting myself weekly with Toradol, and then monthly with some different kind of medications, and nothing was really touching me. I started to have a lot of hormonal issues, was told I wasn't able to help children easily. Obviously that was a lie. all kinds of things. I had POTS, I have TOS, I had ribs removed.
Yeah. So what's TOS?
TOS is thoracic outlet syndrome. So that is when your brachial artery is compressed and your nerve by scar tissue, by a non-anatomical features like an extra rib. I didn't have an extra rib from being in chronic pain for so long. I kind of like had that posture of clenched down, which I ended up occluding my artery, making my nerve bundle branch kind of scar tissued where I didn't have feelings in my hands from that scar tissue. So completely real diagnosis, very painful surgery. I was out for like a year from nursing, couldn't move my arms at all. My poor husband, we did one rib before I got married, one rib after. So we played it early on, the sickness or health part of marriage. A lot of things. I can't even remember some of my diagnoses. I have EDS, not as bad as other people. So
tell the listeners what they are. That is.
So EDS is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So that's when your muscle connective tissue is kind of like hypermobile. It's a genetic disorder. And you just struggle with mobility. So on top of that, and the POTS, where I was already dizzy and lightheaded, having migraines, I was passing out with my periods. I was a hot mess.
And then you also had the iron infusions like Faith too.
I had iron infusions. I was anemic. I forget how much I've been through because now I never say I'm healed. I'm still very struggling, but so much better than what I used to be. I forget how much I went through. This is why we're home from school today. But yeah, so I got into the holistic realm after doing all the things Western medicine. I was a nurse. I still am a nurse, but I don't practice in the hospital anymore. But I was seeing all the doctors, doing all the things I thought were right, thinking it was in my head, thinking I've explored all the options. I had all the surgeries. Then I said, all right, Jake, my husband, let's work with a naturopath. It's expensive, but I don't know what else to do. I was so depressed. I didn't know how I was going to keep living the life I was at 25, newly married, and literally like bedbound and miserable, literally working. And then just my days off were horrible. So spent a lot of money on a naturopath, which I like have a love-hate relationship with this because it is very kind of still invasive, but holistically. I think I did like over 12 tests, which was validating for my nursing side. Like, okay, you have heavy metals, you have parasites, you have all these genetic mutations. At the end of the day, though, it all came back to nutrition. So that's where I like had that connection, that light bulb. Not everybody has 10 grand. I didn't have 10 grand to spend on a naturopath. Like, how can we do this and make it more affordable for everybody who's suffering? Because so many people are suffering nowadays. And I found the Nutritional Therapy Association. I got certified, and started practicing 2 years ago. It'll be my third year in January. And that's how I am today. I'm just continually growing with getting new certifications, getting new clients, finding my niche that I like, and healing myself as healing others and continuing to grow.
Mm-hmm. And I know you've been doing some different like seminars or, events, going in and speaking and stuff. Do you have any more that's upcoming? Or
I have one next Friday, 3rd, at the Vine in Forest Hill. It's local. I do one probably every 3 months at the Vine. It's a health and wellness center in Forest Hill. This one's on metabolic eating. So the hair test kind of gives you your metabolism, either small or slow or fast. But most people are, us included, grew up in the 90s of that diet fad. So scared of carbs, scared of sugar. And it talks a little bit about how things like carbs and sugar are needed for metabolism, especially the slow metabolism, which is most of the adult population. So that's what that's going to be on. I also partner with the Wishing Farm. It's a holistic farm up in Glenarm, and I do speakings there a couple times a year. So everything I do is free. It's free education just to get the word out.
You just knew he was going to cough. You put your arm up right before.
Literally, the worst part about being a nurse, and like I'm listening to his lungs every morning, and I'm like, Nope, he's good. I'm not taking him to the doctor.
So walk us through what it would be like for someone if they come to you wanting to work with you today. What would those steps look like? Do you have an intake? I know you talked about the questionnaires and the hair testing, and then you have protocols, the different sessions. Kind of what would be, walk us through that, what it would look like.
Yeah. So unless I talked to you in the past, I make everybody do a discovery call with me because we've all had those clients that you're just not a good fit. So you need to want to make the changes, as well as me want to work with you. So you do a discovery call with me, 15, 20 minutes. And I do recommend you filling out that questionnaire so I can see the inflammation. I can see the priorities.
And it's a lot. I mean, I can't remember. It's a lot of questions, but they're great.
It's 300 questions. It's 400 if you're menopausal. So like over 40, I think it triggers. So it's more if you're older. And it's weird questions that correlate to symptoms that make sense to me. Like, do you hear your heartbeat at night on your pillow? Like weird symptoms that like directly correlates to something to me, a missing mineral and a depletion. So it's very extensive. So it really guides me what kind of protocol to do. And then I kind of recommend everyone to do the hair test if they can afford it, just so I can really bio-individualize the treatment plan towards you. It's not required by any means. And then I offer several packages. I have a single consultation, which is just the hair consult, which is $300. That's the basic package. And then I have a 3-session or 5-session. So it's like 3 or 6 months package that I recommend most people to do it because everybody needs that. It's like a therapy session. Every month we hold each other accountable. I see what you're eating. I make some tweaks based off some symptoms, things like your bowel movements or sleeping or anxiety and mood. For me, I never had gut dysfunction. I was slightly constipated, but I never had bloating or IBS or things that most of my clients come to. Mine was strictly pain, but that was still a food reaction. That's still a neurological symptom that was connected to food for me. So sometimes with the food journals, I can correlate things that you wouldn't correlate yourself. I couldn't correlate it myself when I was dealing with it myself.
Right.
So every month you kind of jot down your food. We check in, and then depending on your symptoms, we can always do more testing. I do offer blood tests and urine tests and stool tests, but I don't start there because they're expensive. And like I said earlier, working with a naturopath, it kind of all came back to food. So why spend $400 on a stool test when you're going to be fixing it with diet anyway?
Right. Yeah. So can you share with us a success story or two? And if you want, talk about Faith too and how she came off the mirror.
I'm very lucky to have had let's see. Oh, you're being so good now. You just needed mommy.
Yep.
I've had a couple success stories. So actually, my now best friend, we met from doing a hair test. Had endometritis, really bad. She was going to have surgery, horrible birth stories, and had trouble getting pregnant with her third baby now, delivering in the hospital naturally or at home naturally, which would never have happened when she was so sick, like no pain at all with her periods and an easy pregnancy. So that was a great success story. I really like working with moms and that kind of population, and then kids, because I was a pediatric nurse. Kids are still my favorite. There's a couple kids I've worked with that weren't sleeping through the night, horrible food allergies, just not diagnosed, and constipation's a huge one I see, as Faith had. And usually they're just missing something. They're missing a mineral, and if you're missing that hole in your cell foundation, you literally can't keep stacking band-aids on it. Eventually that hole's gonna need to be fixed like a house foundation, and fixing that mineral depletion usually fixes the symptom.
And I can say too, so this week was the first week that Faith had a little bit of constipation, but I didn't do Miralax because I'm like, all right, so for those that don't know, she's part-time residential, and the biggest complaint I have is so when you're residential and you're on any medication, supplements, anything like that, it has to have a prescription label on it. So this is where we had the issue with Faith, because she came off of her Miralax in August and she was doing very, very well. She even came off her stimulants for a little bit. We did put her back on, but she only needs 1 a day versus the 2. And the issue was she was going residential. Well, they couldn't. So by law, the pharmacies can't put a label on something that's not coming from their place. But yet you want these kids off all these medications that are doing bad stuff to you. And she's been on Miralax since basically the day she was born. She's been constipated. JD had the same thing. I used to have to stretch him. He's probably going to kill me if he ever listens to this, but because he was premature in 28 weeks, I had to stretch him for an entire year with a metal dilator every single day.
Buddy.
And where it would get stuck and we'd have to pull it out. And that's how Faith was the entire time, just having to pull it out of her. So, I was really upset because I'm like, all right, we were working so hard to get her back with the supplements and the eating and all of that. She's doing well. And now she's going to have to go a few days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and, without some of this stuff. But it is now October 30th. And this is the first time she got a little bit, it wasn't even like a bad constipation. She's still going daily. And the nurse said, yeah, well, she'll probably feel a little bit better, when she's at home, but she goes now anywhere. But
it's good.
She was fine. And by the end of the weekend, so even just missing those, she's still going properly and doesn't need it.
That's awesome. And I definitely see constipation a lot more around holidays because of sugar and different foods and parties and stuff. It's very, very common in the hospital when I was a nurse. And then my friends like saying, oh my goodness, like what's going on? I'm like, not, you can, we all live to have fun. Like you don't have to restrict that much, but just paying attention. Sometimes you need do a little bit more when we're eating differently.
Yep. So, and then the next thing we're going to tackle getting her off is the omeprazole.
Yeah. And stomach acid medications, PPIs, anything like omeprazole, it's the top prescription in America, or over the counter, I guess I can say, because it's also over the counter. And it's supposed to be a 6-week prescription. That's it, because it really affects your stomach acid. And there's people that have been on it for years. I mean, I have clients that are like in their 60s and they're like, oh, I've been on that for 40 years. So stomach acid is a huge component to what I do. And that's nutritional and lifestyle, because we live in such a stress society. When you're stressed, your body physically feels like it's getting chased by a bear. Your body's not going to make enzymes. It's not going to make stomach acid. And then when we are throwing medications on it, because again, we aren't dealing with the root causes, it becomes a really chronic problem. So I'm proud that's your next job. It's a hard one, and follow with me and wean off it slowly.
Yep. Yeah. She was on it. She was on for years, 40 in the evening, 40 at night. Yeah, and then we went to then we've been probably about a year and a half. We've just been on the 40 in the evening. And then Dr. Hinkle just put in for the 20 to start her on.
She's a great pediatrician.
Yeah. I love her. She is amazing. So let's talk self-care. So I read an article in the Voyage Baltimore that you were highlighted in, and saw where you said, I'm honest in saying I'm not healed and I have bad days still. Those days are few and far compared to my chronic years of pain, but they still occur. So what do you do specifically on those days, and how do you juggle owning your own business, the day-to-day chores of owning a home and gardening too, and all your roosters? I love all your videos. And then, and being a wife and a mother. So what do you do?
So the mindset and the lifestyle is half the battle. So when I'm having a hard day, and when you are having like an invisible illness or a chronic illness, it's so easy to be like, am I being lazy? Is this in my head? And you just have to like nip that in the butt and be like, today is going to be a day where small wins happen, but making sure when I'm having a bad day that I am nourishing my body. That is my top priority. I will dry brush to make sure I'm making my lymph move and keeping my nervous system calm, because I'm probably in that stress sympathetic mode because I'm not believing myself because I don't feel good and need reminded, and having a hard day, my body's stressed. Making sure I'm doing a nice detox bath with some magnesium and replenishing the minerals that are burned through stress. So magnesium, sodium, potassium, the adrenal cocktail that Faith's on. There's a recipe on my website for adrenal cocktails. Making sure I'm doing those twice a day instead of once a day. Making sure I'm giving myself grace and breathing and, you know, asking my husband to help me cook. He's a big help. I'm very thankful for him. But those hard days, you know, he's not going to remember that there was laundry and the things that didn't get done. So just leave it at that and take care of myself, him. That needs prioritize when I'm having a bad day.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've already also talked about, all right. So we've done the educational stuff. So let's talk future. So I'm excited to have you share this. What are your big plans, dreams, and timelines for yourself and Chronically Holistic?
I am very excited. So
I was at your mom's last week and she was telling me about it too. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I saw your posts and exciting.
I have a lot. So Jake and Forrest and I, we're building a new house, right? Yeah. So instead of building a big house like we originally planned, we're going to build a smaller house and open up part of the property as a wellness retreat. So we're going to build a couple yurts to hold wellness retreats for like camping and events. And then I'm going to homeschool in the future. So having that property for or that space for those things. So a bunch of practitioners will come once a month that I work with. I work with a body worker, acupuncturist, a couple of natural holistic massage and estheticians. I have a body and mind coach, all these great practitioners. They're going to come and we're just going to have days of or weekends of wellness, which is good to get those tools because it's good when you're at a nice retreat and people are pampering you, but you need those tools to take home with you.
Yeah.
As well as gluten-free food. We're gluten-free in this house. So it'd be cool for people to see how we eat because I think people think healthy food isn't good and it is extremely good. It's not low calorie. It's not diet.
You're going to host cooking classes?
Possibly. We're setting up our kitchen in the house with like permits and all. I don't think I can legally have a kitchen in the yurt, but we're setting up my house to have a nice kitchen so I can like host cooking shows and demonstrations. We're definitely going to have a cooking area. I even thought about getting like a food truck kind of thing so that way we can have that kitchen if we need. Then in January, I'm going back to school to do hands-on things. So right now, I just see everyone virtually. So once I have this space, the yurts and the space at our new home, I'm going to start accepting clients in person, where I'm going to be trained by the Nutritional Therapy Association that I'm already certified from, how to do something called lingual neurodiagnostic testing. So hands-on points. So you'll hold a supplement or something, and I will, from your innate body's response and different points, know if it's right versus me. You kind of just guess with supplements. So versus me just guessing. Same with food, and then same with some organs. So like those certain points will be like tender that will confirm from your questionnaire that your liver needs some work. So then I can know what to prioritize versus I'm always kind of guessing, but occasionally guessing from all your questionnaires and your blood work. It gives you more definitive answers like, oh, this is definitely, and some people really need different priorities like filtered water. That might be really more important for you than me, and might be impacting your healing journey. And this new certification is going to help me guide where to start because I'm going to give you a list of things. We can't afford it all. It's nice to know, okay, what do I actually start with?
Right. Yeah, really.
So a lot of cool things. We're excited for my business to grow, and it's crazy.
That's awesome. I'm very.
Oh my goodness!
God bless you, buddy.
Bless you.
So before we wrap up, if you had one piece of advice to give others, what would it be?
Believe in your symptoms. That's what I tell everybody. Like all my free things. Like believe in your symptoms. They're not in your head. It's your innate body telling you something's wrong. It's something to be explored. And that symptom may be covered up by medication and it may fix it temporarily, but that's not solving the root cause. So dig deeper and figure out why you're having the symptom versus the symptom itself.
Mm-hmm. And then also what, I'm going to put it in the show notes, but how can people find you?
Yeah. So, chronicallyholistic.com is my website. You can, there's all kinds of free sources on my website. So if you go to the How to Work With Me tab, I have pantry cleanouts, information on gluten, dairy, adrenals, all kinds of free information. And then there's a How to Work With Me tab that goes over the hair test, my packages. I'm on social media. Not my favorite part of my job, but I am on Instagram and Facebook and all those things. I'm even trying TikTok.
I love your videos. I look forward to them. Like, oh, did she make any more yet?
Yeah.
I love them. So words are very important. They can be very powerful. So I had sent you a little flyer on it. So what word would you choose and why?
I think empathy. That's a great word.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful. Being empathetic is something that has gotten me to where I am today as a nurse, as a mom, and just actually feeling for others. As we know, being chronically ill and invisible, that feelings are okay, and respecting people's feelings and acknowledging their feelings. People are going to have harder days in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
I think that word has probably changed my life, because growing up, we all kind of grew up like, you got to be tough, suck it up. And now I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
feel, maybe not even empathy is my word, but it's okay to feel. The feelings is something that I am excited to teach Forrest, is what I teach my clients. It's just as important of the healing journey as the nutrition, as the physical stuff. It's the emotional.
Well, awesome. I love everything about what you do. And I cannot wait, because I'm definitely going to be going to the retreat. I can tell you that much.
You need it too.
I do. I do. So thank you so much. Everybody, be sure to tune in for another episode of the Guilbault Girls, and I will have all of Kate's information in the show notes. So thank you.
Thank you for having us, and thanks for being patient since somebody didn't go to school today.
Forrest, you're going to say bye to everybody?
He's like, I'm watching YouTube that mom never lets me watch. It's probably what I should have put on.
He's ready to cry.
You
got the little lip going.
Gigi laughs when you do the boo-boo lip.
He's so cute. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in.
He said no.
Thank you for joining us as we spread awareness through our personal stories and the many resources shared. You can help us by joining our village simply by sharing our show to the masses. If you would like to support the Guilbault Girls on another level, click on the link in the show notes to make a donation in any amount. Add your address and you'll receive a hand-stamped token with the word village on it in appreciation. Be sure to subscribe to our Guilbault Girls podcast and YouTube show, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Guilbault Girls. Till next time.